Morning, everybody. Dan Gresham at home very quickly after being at work. Quick transition from the studio, of course, in Beaumont to the studio in my home here in the West End. And it has been a long day. So I'm not going to stay on for a long time. Just kind of catch up on some things that are going on this morning, some observations about what has happened over the course of the last 24 hours. And let me say, if you're going to have tropical weather, in the form of a hurricane that turns into a tropical storm, this is the way I want it. No major catastrophes to speak of this morning, as far as I know, after more than 4.5 hours, 8 hours of tracking what was going on. No reports of any injuries, no reports of any serious damage. Yes, we have had some rain. Yes, some places have had more than others. If you're down along the coast, if you're at Crystal Beach, if you walk back up to High Island, they've had anywhere from 7 to 9 inches over the course of, say, the last 12 to 24 hours. But most people, that just wasn't the case. We got some wind coming in. Let me tell you, at 4:30 this morning, when the morning show started, it looked pretty ugly. I mean, it looked like we might get some really tough weather. But the system has moved so quickly that we're to the point now where, yeah, we're still getting some wind. We're still getting some rain. But even that's light in nature. Let's find out more. Let's go to KFDM.com. We always like to start there. Great place, of course, to go and get what's happening in local news, whether it's on a day like today or if it's just another day in the life, right, of Southeast Texas. You can see Nicholas is downgraded to a tropical storm. It was at one time a hurricane, Category 1 when it came on shore. Might surprise a lot of people. And I think this location is probably a little off because this was earlier this morning. I think you can probably move it a little bit further this direction by now. And again, by 1 a.m., it may be there, but the rain, this was such a lopsided storm. All the activity was on the east side. The west side was so dry. One of the most unusual storms I've seen in the 40 years of reporting here in Southeast Texas. One of the strangest storms I've ever seen as far as formation and where the moisture was. It was just unusually lopsided. Here's a look at current Doppler radar. I'm going to back out a little bit so you can kind of see all of this activity that we see here. When we started the morning was probably around here, and of course has since progressed. If you were actually looking for the center of circulation, probably somewhere in this area. So you can see even with that, look how all the moisture is in this one quadrant here, really in just one. And then the backside completely dry with the exception of a few showers there in San Antonio. But there was a lot of embedded heavy rain earlier this morning. They're still getting some over in New Orleans. Last thing they need there is more rain. You still have folks 2 weeks later that don't have power in southern Louisiana. So my heart goes out to them. But here in Southeast Texas, we saw some pretty good bands of rain come across, some pretty good wind. The heaviest rains from Crystal Beach up to High Island, Sabine Pass. Then southern Jefferson County got some pretty good rains. Beaumont saw some. But I mean, you're talking about rain totals that are going to wind up being, 6, 7 inches, maybe 10 over the course of 2 to 3 days. Come on, we can handle that. Southeast Texas can handle 10 inches over the course of 24 hours on a regular basis. And we do. But fortunately, we didn't have to worry. What was missing in this storm, what we didn't have in this storm that we've had in so many other storms, we didn't have what's called training, right? Where you get lines that just come repeatedly over the same. I always think of the phrase long train running, where it just goes over the same spot over and over like rail cars. That's called training. Didn't have it. You didn't have those heavy bands that, we had breaks in between. Even if you got the heavy rain, you got a break in between. So you didn't have the water piling up in the ditches and all the other areas on the roads. It ran off. And that worked very well because if you look across Southeast Texas, with the exception of a few trees down, no major damage. Now, let's go back. We'll go back to radar and just kind of finish up the summary of what's going on there. What we're going to see is this moving on off. So what you have Beaumont, south, also in Orange County, even up into Jasper County, light rain. You also have some wind, but most of that wind now, 15 to 25 maybe? I don't have an anemometer here, so I can't go and say this is exactly what it is. But when I left the station less than an hour ago, that's kind of the general sum of things. Chad Sandwell telling me he thinks most all of this will be cleared out by this afternoon, maybe. And what we do see from this point forward, light rain. You will have a couple of embedded showers. That always happens. You see the yellow there. You will have those on occasion, and we may see a few more of those, but the bulk over southeast Texas is truly just light rain. You even have some holes in the rain now. So that's a very good sign. What we did see over the course of the morning were some power outages, and they're still going on. This is Entergy's outage map. You can access it by going to Google if you want to, or any other browser, whatever you use, and just put in Entergy Texas outage. You will see it says reported outages, energy, and then it should bring up all the different states they serve. You go to Texas, and then it's just like the interactive radar that we have on. You can manipulate this. You can roll it in and out. See the big star there. When you move it all the way out, then it's showing more about what's happening in a total city. So you pop that, and it says there are 757 customers in Beaumont itself that are now without power. And you can go and break it down by all the different areas if you want to. There's 653 there, it looks like, in mid county. But you can also go over on the left-hand side and you can break it by county. You can see that currently in Jefferson County, you have 2,788 without power, while in Hardin County, you have 234. In Orange County, you only have 55. But the biggest bulk of it right now is actually not in Southeast Texas or in our viewing area. It would be over in Montgomery, where they have 5,800 that are without power this morning. We have had some big blocks of power going on, so we'll push in. I'll show you. For example, in Beaumont, there's anything that's red indicates power out. And I'm sorry, it won't let me go to certain. There we go. But you can see that's pretty good block right there. And then you can come down and you see the sporadic. That's pretty good block right there as well. And looks like Nederland, Port Arthur. Then you go over in Orange County and things look pretty good. There are a few outages there, a few up in Lumberton. But relatively speaking, compared to what we would normally see in a tropical event, right, where you have 40, 50, 60,000, now you have about 4,000, and Entergy already at work. There were times this morning, this same block here in Port Neches, when they went down, they had probably a couple of thousand. They got them back on this morning. Now they have 51 in Port Neches. So again, remember, this is a great tool to have. Of course, the biggest problem is, you say it's a great tool to have, Dan. That's probably true. But when you're without power, how do you get on the internet? How do you look? Well, if you got your cell phone, right, then you can use your cellular data. You can get on this. You can see, okay, I'm out. They will try to give you a restoration time, but in the middle of a storm, you can kind of bank on the fact that, hey, they're going to wait until the winds die down. They're going to wait till the sun comes up. There are a lot of extenuating factors that come into play before these linemen, and nobody wants them to put their life at risk for you to be able to get your electricity back. Generally speaking, I would imagine most of these are going to be pretty short-term outages. If we were to talk to the Entergy officials, I'm pretty sure that's what they would tell us. That being said, let's show you one other thing that's a good tool to have, any kind of weather, or if you're just going to be traveling, you need to make sure that you have on your bookmarks drivetexas.org. drivetexas.org. That is from TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation, a very good website that you can go to, and you can check on road conditions anywhere in the state of Texas. Again, you can manipulate this any way you want. We can go and look. Now, what we didn't have earlier this morning that we are seeing now is some road closures due to water on roads. And here they are. You can also, this is just like the other map, that if you see these blue lines, it means flooding. Okay. And those are the only blue lines we're seeing right now. But you're saying, well, I don't even know, where is that? Well, this is obviously Cardinal Drive Spur, 380 South Martin Luther King Parkway, Florida Street to Olin, water over the roadway. Use extreme caution. All right. You can go down, see the same thing here. It will tell you what it is. Water over the roadway, travel discouraged. This is 347. Okay. And then they update these pretty regularly as well. Water over the roadway here. And then I think we saw a couple over in Bridge City as well on 73. And there you see water over the roadway as well. Red indicates construction. Just tells you what's going on there. But these are the only, situations. We had one closure earlier this morning. We had a traffic accident on I-10 that shut down traffic for a while, but it was a minor accident, no major injuries. So again, all in all, you have to feel like, we escaped another, tropical issue here that certainly could have been much worse. Let me ask a favor of you this morning. As I mentioned, I'm not going to keep you all day because I know you have things to do, and it's been a long day already for many of us watching what's going on in the weather. If you don't mind, if you'll hit us with a like, a thumbs up, that would be appreciated. We've already had 42 comments posted this morning. Obviously, I don't have time to read them all this morning, but let's see what some of them are. Just good morning. Hi, Linda. Nikki checking in. Joshua, y'all underwater? No, not underwater at all. Becca says, our yard is starting to flood here in Vidor. And again, we're going to see some more rain. The rain is not done. We will see some more of it, most of it light in nature. Linda, I'm glad you do have power. Morning, Cindy. Mary's up this morning as well. Elaine says, hope everyone's back in their home. As far as I know, yeah, they did open up some shelters this morning. The Red Cross did, but as far as I could tell, I checked, nobody was in those shelters. Some pretty high wind. You're right, Linda. There were some, I came home, there's some limbs on the ground at my house. I have some oak trees that were ready to shed some limbs, nothing big. And I think that a lot of us are going to see that, again, very grateful, most people, that we managed to dodge any serious issues here in Southeast Texas. So again, we'll continue to updating the situation. Best I can tell from my conversations with the meteorologist this morning, I think we've seen the worst of it. Let me take you back one more time. We'll update Doppler radar just to make sure. We'll back out of this a little bit so we can see the entire area. We'll refresh it one more time. But again, it looks like for the most part, we have seen the heaviest of the rains. They are now moving on off over towards Houma, New Orleans, Baton Rouge. And, you look back to the west and, already cleared Houston, starting to clear like Cleveland, Liberty, not much left there. And there's Beaumont. So kind of give you an idea. Again, we may see a couple of heavier showers, but for the most part, light rain is pretty much going to do it for us for the rest of the day. And we'll hope that we get out of this without much to talk about. So again, if you had to go through it, you had to order something up. I guess that's the way to do it if it's going to be tropical in nature. Chad will be back at noon today. Actually, he is doing cut-ins every 30 minutes on KFDM, top and bottom of the hour, so you can check there. He'll also be back at noon. He'll update. And then, of course, Greg will be back this evening giving you all the information you need. I really hope that, that we take away from these the fact that there are secure and solid information places in Southeast Texas that you can go to when you need it. And that KFDM for more than 50 years, we've done our best to try to give you information you can use during a time like this. And we're going to continue to try to do so. And that the voices you trust are the ones that have the experience to speak about what's to happen. And again, you had people who were out there posting up on various places, whether it was the internet, social media, whatever. 40 inches of rain coming for Southeast Texas, which no wonder makes so many people anxious and panic. And you run in your, what can I do to keep the water from coming in my home? Whereas if you stay with the people who've been doing this, who have experienced, who are telling you, 7 to 10 inches, that's a huge difference. That's 30 inches, of water that you didn't get. So again, maybe it can help ease some of that anxiety prior to the storm if we learn to go to those people that we should be trusting to give us the best information. So I thank you for your time this morning. As always, I appreciate the fact that you give me the opportunity to come into your home or your car or your workplace, wherever it may be, with our at-home updates. Hope you'll continue to join us. I will see you back here soon. And again, remind you too, there are various ways that you can follow up for the rest of the day, whether it's on our broadcast on KFDM Fox 4, also on Facebook at KFDM News. We have an at-home Facebook page as well. You can also follow me, Twitter, it's Morning TV Dan, or on YouTube. We have a channel. You can subscribe, Dan's at Home. You can get these updates on YouTube as well. You go out and make it a terrific day. We'll look forward to seeing you bright and early tomorrow morning.